Hello, and welcome to Book Navigator. Today we're diving into A Million Thoughts by Om Swami, a deeply insightful book that teaches us how to quiet the noise within and find inner peace through meditation. Let me ask you something. Have you ever really listened to your mind? I don't mean looking at yourself in the mirror or thinking about your thoughts. I mean really tuning in to that non-stop chatter happening in your head. From the moment we wake up, it's like a radio switches on inside our minds and keeps playing all day long. Sometimes it's a replay of old memories, other times it's worries about the future, regrets from yesterday, or even totally random ideas. This restless, jumping from one thought to another state is what's often called the monkey mind, and it truly is like a monkey, always moving, never settling. Our thoughts swing from one branch to the next, rarely giving us a moment of real stillness. Most of these thoughts are repetitive or downright useless, yet we stay tangled in them without even realizing how much of our peace they steal away. But here's the real question. Can we quiet this chaos? Can we hit pause on this endless stream of mental noise? The answer is yes, absolutely. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is through meditation. Now, meditation doesn't have to be some complicated ritual. At its core, it's simply about observing your mind, watching your thoughts come and go without judging them, without attaching yourself to them. That's it. But while the idea is simple, the practice can be challenging. As soon as we try to sit quietly, our mind kicks into overdrive. It brings up old guilt, forgotten fears, random daydreams, and anxieties we didn't even know we had. That's when a lot of people think they're failing at meditation. But here's the truth. That's not failure. That's actually where real meditation begins. The goal isn't to empty the mind. You can't stop the mind from thinking. That's its job. Instead, the aim is to watch those thoughts. Imagine you're sitting in a movie theater and your thoughts are the scenes playing out on screen. You don't need to jump into the story. Just watch. Let the scenes unfold and pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. One of the biggest myths about meditation is that you need a perfect posture, a quiet room, or a sacred mantra. But meditation can happen anywhere. You can do it sitting on your couch, walking in the park, or even riding on a bus. All you need is a few moments to focus on your breath. Just breathe in and breathe out. That's your anchor. And every time your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back to your breath. No pressure. No judgment. In the beginning, it might feel awkward or even pointless. You might think, this isn't working. But here's something to remember. Just like lifting weights builds physical strength, meditating consistently builds mental strength. 10 to 15 minutes a day may not seem like much, but over time it changes everything. You'll start to notice you're less reactive. The little things that used to get under your skin just don't bother you the same way anymore. If someone says something rude or hurtful, you no longer get swept up in the emotion. You simply observe it and let it pass. Meditation brings emotional balance. Stress, anxiety, and anger lose their grip on you. You begin to take back control of your inner world. And here's the thing, this isn't just some spiritual theory. It's a practical tool you can use every single day. When you calm the monkey mind, you can concentrate better, communicate more clearly, and be more present in your relationships. You even start to connect more deeply with yourself. Just imagine experiencing a moment where there's no pressure from the past, no worries about the future, just this one, peaceful, alive moment. That's what meditation gives you, a pause, a moment of stillness in the middle of all the noise. And perhaps the most powerful realization of all is this. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts come and go. Emotions rise and fall. But underneath it all, there's a deeper awareness, that quiet observer within you. And when you start to connect with that inner awareness, you begin to feel a deep sense of freedom. So the next time life feels overwhelming or your mind starts racing out of control, try this. Just close your eyes for a couple of minutes. Don't try to fix anything. Don't push the thoughts away. Just sit, breathe, and watch. Let the chaos unfold without getting caught in it. Even in just a few minutes, you'll feel the difference. That monkey inside will start to settle. With time and consistency, this practice becomes second nature. The mind that once felt like your worst enemy becomes your wisest friend. You learn to guide it rather than be ruled by it. You learn to listen rather than react. And you find that within you there's a place of peace that was always there, just waiting for you to notice. Meditation is the path that takes you there. The next time your mind feels too busy, too restless, just take a moment and say to yourself, "Let me watch this monkey instead of becoming it." That simple shift in awareness can work wonders. You'll begin to notice something unexpected. What once felt like a chaotic storm of thought starts to move with a certain rhythm, a quiet elegance. The noise becomes a kind of dance. But you don't need to jump into long sessions to feel this. Just start small, 5 minutes. That's it. Build from there at your own pace. You don't need to follow a strict method or sit in some perfect position. The only thing required is your presence, a willingness to meet your mind where it is. Because here's a truth worth remembering. When the mind realizes it's being watched, it naturally begins to calm down. Why? Because true strength lies in the person who can understand their own mind. And meditation, in its purest form, is that strength. It's your superpower. So the question isn't just, what's going on in your mind? The real question is, are you able to see it? Because so often we don't. We get stuck. One small thought, maybe someone said something that rubbed us the wrong way or ignored us, or maybe an old dream remains unfulfilled, lodges itself inside and refuses to leave. That thought sticks around. It settles in. And what we're left with is what Om Swami calls thought residue. Thought residue is the leftover emotional imprint a thought leaves behind, even after it's supposedly gone. Like the lingering scent of perfume in a room, every thought, if intense enough or repeated often, leaves a mark. Sometimes that residue turns into a quiet desire, sometimes into a loud expectation, and other times it hides as anger, fear, sadness, or guilt. We assume the thought passed, but if it hit us deep, it settles. Like a tea stain on the rim of a cup, it leaves its trace. And if these stains, these residues, aren't gently cleared, they build up over time. Layer after layer, and eventually they cloud our peace, our clarity, and our sense of balance. Think about the last time you were upset with someone but didn't really deal with it. Maybe you let it go on the surface, but deep inside, there was still a sting. That sting, that leftover discomfort, is residue. And when you don't release it, it begins to collect, one layer over another, until the mind starts to feel heavy, foggy, and weighed down. You may not even realize what's causing it, but you just feel off, tired, anxious, unmotivated. That's why meditation isn't about controlling the mind. It's about cleansing it. It's a gentle process of becoming aware of those stuck, unresolved thoughts, allowing yourself to sit with them, feel them, and let them go. Every time we avoid or suppress a thought, it doesn't disappear, it gets stored. And one day, when something small triggers you, it all spills out. You might wonder, why am I overreacting like this? But what's really happening is, years of ignored thoughts and emotions are breaking the surface. That's residue, and left unchecked, it can start affecting not just your mental state, but your emotions and even your physical health. We all carry an inner archive, a storage room of emotional memories and impressions. Some we're aware of, many are hidden deep in the subconscious. Meditation gives us access to that room. It allows us to walk in without fear, to observe what's there without flinching, and to gently clear out what no longer serves us. When you can look at a thought without clinging to it, without judging it, that's when it starts to lose its hold. That's when the residue begins to dissolve. Picture your mind as a mirror. In order to see anything clearly, that mirror needs to be clean. But when old thoughts and emotions leave smudges on it, every new experience you try to reflect on gets distorted. Even a minor issue can feel massive because the mirror is already clouded. Meditation is like wiping that mirror slowly, gently, every day. And over time, you begin to see things as they are, not as they appear through layers of past pain. Your reactions soften, your clarity sharpens, you feel lighter, freer. And here's another truth: sometimes your body is exhausted, but your mind is still racing. You lie in bed, tired, but sleep just won't come. That's because all the thoughts you avoided during the day show up at night. They return as restlessness, vivid dreams, unease. That's why your sleep feels shallow. But when you use meditation as a daily release, your sleep begins to deepen. You wake up more refreshed, more at peace, with more energy to carry through your day. So, understand this. Meditation isn't about perfection. It's not about doing it right. It's about being present, watching without judgment, feeling without getting swept away, letting go without force. And the more you do it, the more you begin to feel a quiet power rising from within, a calm confidence, a sense of peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, because that peace has always been there, within you, just waiting to be noticed. Now, one might wonder, how does meditation actually work? Is it really as simple as closing your eyes and suddenly everything becomes peaceful? The truth is, no, it's not about shutting your eyes. It's about opening your awareness. The heart of meditation lies in awareness. When you begin to clearly observe a thought without judging it or running from it, that thought slowly begins to lose its power over you. Your only job in that moment is to observe. Just notice the thought and gently acknowledge it. Yes, this is a thought. I see it. It's a part of me, but it's not all of me. As you strengthen this skill of observation, your mind starts to understand that it doesn't need to keep repeating the same stories, because now someone is truly paying attention. That attention, the simple act of observing, creates a sense of being heard within yourself, and that quiet recognition begins to melt away the intensity of those thoughts. Meditation isn't about control, it's about connection. It's like developing a deep, gentle friendship with your own mind. You begin to listen to it, understand it, and with time, you begin to heal. We all carry emotional weight, past experiences, regrets, heartbreaks, or unfulfilled dreams. We might think we've moved on from them, but often they're still there, quietly resting in the corners of our minds. Meditation brings those thoughts to the surface, not to trouble us, but to help us see them, feel them, and gently let them go. It gives us the strength of honest attention. And when you give yourself that kind of loving awareness, even the deepest pain begins to dissolve. Slowly, your mind becomes lighter, and so do you. And as this residue fades, you start to feel more connected with life. You find beauty in simple things. A hot cup of tea becomes a moment of joy. A peaceful walk or a deep breath feels meaningful. Why? Because your mind isn't cluttered anymore. It's spacious and open, ready to receive. Meditation doesn't just bring peace, it brings clarity. The kind of clarity that helps you know which thoughts truly matter and which ones are just noise from the past. So next time a thought keeps returning, don't fight it. Ask yourself, can I let this go? Then take a few quiet moments, breathe, and gently release it. Over time, your mind becomes like a calm lake, still, reflective, and peaceful. No ripples, no noise, just awareness. That's what true freedom feels like. You begin to live from a place of calm strength. And now, let me ask you something. Do you really want to keep carrying the old weight of unresolved thoughts? Or would you rather release them and start living in peace? The choice is yours, because peace isn't a place you go to, it's a decision you make. Have you ever noticed this in yourself? Your heart is craving rest, but you keep pretending to be productive. Or you're hurt by someone, but you smile like everything's fine. These kinds of moments happen more than we realize, and this is where inner restlessness begins. The root of that restlessness is disharmony. When your thoughts, words, and actions don't match, it creates a subtle tension inside. And when that misalignment builds up over time, it turns into anxiety, stress, or just an unexplained feeling of being off.
We often chase happiness in the outside world, in success, comfort, or validation. But real happiness comes when everything within us moves in the same direction. When our thoughts, speech, and actions are aligned, that's what we call harmony. And that harmony becomes the source of true happiness. Think about it. If your mind is saying, "I don't want to do this," but you're still doing it just to impress someone, there's a conflict brewing inside you. You may look calm, but frustration is quietly building. That mismatch becomes mental noise. But now, picture the opposite. You feel the urge to say sorry to someone, and you actually do it. You make the call. You express what's in your heart. That moment of alignment feels freeing because your inner world and your outer actions are finally in sync. That's where peace begins. It's like music inside you. When everything is in tune, it becomes a melody. And when your inner life sings in harmony, life itself becomes more beautiful. This idea of harmony isn't some complicated concept. It shows up in everyday life. When you genuinely care about someone, think kindly of them, speak to them with love, and act with care, the bond naturally grows. But if you secretly feel envy, compliment them on the surface, and then gossip behind their back, that creates inner guilt and tension. Mindful living means being aware of what you're thinking, what you're saying, and what you're doing, and making sure they match. That's when life starts to feel balanced.
When you're connected with yourself, you gain a kind of inner clarity. You begin to understand why you're thinking a certain way, and you can choose whether or not to act on those thoughts. This awareness is the beginning of mindful alignment. A lot of people feel something's missing from their lives, not because they don't have enough, but because they've lost touch with themselves. They spend so much energy trying to meet others' expectations that they forget to honor their own inner voice. And when that voice goes unheard for too long, we start to feel disconnected, lost, or unhappy without even knowing why. But harmony doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real. It means being honest with yourself. If something doesn't bring you joy, acknowledge it. If you're hurt, express it. If you want something, take steps toward it. These are small actions, but they build the foundation of inner peace. Many of us are afraid that being honest about our feelings will damage relationships, but in truth it's the silence and pretending that does the real harm. Genuine connection grows through truth, not through performance. And when you live in alignment, your energy becomes authentic, and others feel that too. So where do you start? Start with self-awareness. Begin by observing your thoughts. Ask yourself, do my thoughts match my words? Do my words show up in my actions? At first this might feel unfamiliar, but the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Spend 10 or 15 minutes with yourself each day. Just sit quietly and reflect on what you thought, said, and did. You'll start to notice patterns. You'll begin to recognize where you're aligned and where you're not. Journaling is a powerful tool too. When you write down your thoughts and feelings daily, it becomes easier to spot the gaps between what you intend and what you do. Let's say you set a goal and commit to it. Your speech and actions must follow that intention. If they don't, your mind feels disappointed. That inner guilt becomes a burden, and you start doubting yourself. And self-doubt quietly pulls you away from happiness. But when you do follow through, when your actions match your intentions, your self-respect grows. Your confidence deepens. And joy comes naturally. Harmony isn't just an internal process. It reflects in your relationships too. When you're aligned with yourself, you become more compassionate, more honest, and more connected to the people around you. Your work improves. Your interactions become meaningful. And most importantly, you feel at peace in your own skin. That kind of peace can't be bought. It's something you build within. Every one of us is on a unique journey. But there's one truth we all share. We all want to be happy. And the path to happiness isn't found outside. It starts inside. Harmony is not a destination. It's a daily choice, a way of living. So the next time you feel lost or overwhelmed, just pause and ask yourself, am I thinking what I'm saying? Am I saying what I'm doing? When all three align, your thoughts, your words, and your actions, that's where happiness begins. That's where you find yourself. And that's where life starts to feel whole again. If you answered yes to all three questions, are my thoughts aligned with my words? Are my words reflected in my actions? And are my actions in line with my inner truth? Then you're already living in harmony. And where there's harmony, happiness naturally follows. At first, it may feel a bit challenging. You might stumble or feel unsure, but the more you practice, the more you'll notice a sense of calm growing inside you. You'll feel more grounded, more at peace with yourself. Slowly, the music of harmony will begin to play in your life, and it's not just a feeling. It becomes a presence, a vibe. You become that peaceful energy others can feel and are drawn to. And that's real success, not the kind measured by external achievements, but the kind that radiates from a deep inner joy. When your thoughts, your words, and your actions line up, they create a beautiful inner symphony. Harmony brings happiness, and the kind of happiness that rises from within is the purest, most powerful kind. Still, even with everything in place, career, relationships, comfort, many people feel a strange emptiness, like something is missing. That feeling often stems from neglecting the inner journey. In today's fast-paced world, we're constantly running from one task to another, one responsibility to the next. But deep growth doesn't happen in the rush. It happens in stillness. It happens when we slow down and reconnect with who we really are. That's where the yogic path offers something timeless. It gives us practices that don't just calm the mind, they awaken a deeper connection with ourselves. And among these, there are 7 deeply powerful practices that have been passed down for centuries: concentration, trataka, listening, resolve, silence, solitude, and renunciation. Each one is a step inward. Each one helps clear the noise so you can hear your own inner voice. The journey starts with concentration, or ekagrata. This is the ability to stay fully focused on a single point. Think about how often your mind jumps from your to-do list to a past conversation to tomorrow's worries. It's like a browser with 100 tabs open. Concentration is the skill of closing those tabs and being fully present, right here, right now. Whether you're meditating, working, or even talking to someone, true concentration brings your whole being into the moment. And when your mind isn't scattered, it becomes clearer, more powerful, more at peace. Then comes trataka. It's a practice of focused gazing, usually at something like a candle flame or a single dot on the wall. You stare gently, without blinking, letting your attention rest there. This may sound simple, but it's surprisingly deep. It strengthens your vision, both external and internal. It calms your nervous system, trains your mind to stay steady, and invites your intuition to wake up. When your outer eyes settle, your inner vision starts to open. You begin to see what really matters. The third practice is listening, or shravan. But this isn't just about hearing sounds. It's about deep, conscious listening. Listening without interrupting, without judgment, and without planning what you're going to say next. Whether it's the words of a wise teacher or a loved one sharing their feelings, true listening creates transformation. It's also one of the most spiritual things you can do. Why? Because to truly listen, you have to set aside your ego and be fully present. That presence alone creates healing in conversations, in relationships, and in your own heart. Next is resolve, called sankalp in the yogic tradition. A sankalp is a powerful personal commitment. It's not just a goal or a wish. It's a decision rooted in your inner values. Like saying to yourself, I will meditate every day, or I will be honest, no matter what. When you make a conscious resolve and stick to it, you begin to trust yourself more. Your willpower grows, your clarity increases, and your energy, instead of being scattered in 100 directions, begins to align and strengthen. These small, consistent inner promises shape your life in big ways. The fifth practice is silence, mourn. And let's be honest, silence is rare these days. We're surrounded by noise, social media, non-stop conversations, alerts, distractions. But silence doesn't just mean turning off the volume. It means calming the storm inside, that non-stop mental chatter. When you sit in intentional silence, even for a few minutes a day, you start to hear your real thoughts. You begin to understand your true feelings. Silence reconnects you with yourself. It's like wiping the fog off a mirror. You can finally see yourself clearly, and with that clarity comes peace. Then there's solitude, known as ekant. Solitude is different from loneliness. It's the sacred time you spend alone, not to escape but to connect. It's in those quiet moments, away from social media, away from expectations, that your soul whispers, you reflect, you recharge, you remember who you are. Sure, solitude can be uncomfortable at first because it shows you everything you've been avoiding, but that's the magic of it. In solitude, you meet your truth, and once you've faced it, you come back into the world stronger, clearer, and more centered. Finally, we come to renunciation, or tyag. Now don't worry, this isn't about giving up your home, career, or loved ones. Renunciation in this sense means letting go of attachment. It means participating fully in life, but not letting your happiness depend on outcomes. You still love, you still dream, but you don't cling. You don't suffer when things don't go your way, because you've learned to trust the flow. Real renunciation is freedom. It's not withdrawal, it's release. Release from the illusion that external control equals inner peace. So when you put all these 7 practices together, concentration, tritaka, listening, resolve, silence, solitude, and renunciation, you begin walking a path from outer noise to inner peace, from confusion to clarity, from restlessness to deep joy. Each step doesn't just take you deeper into the yogic path, it brings you closer to your most authentic self. And when you live from that space of authenticity, you no longer chase happiness. You become it. You radiate it. Because it's no longer something outside of you, it lives within. When you let go of something, whether it's your ego, desires, grudges, or unhelpful habits, you create space within yourself. And in that sacred space, something incredible can begin to grow. That's where peace, clarity, and divine energy enter. True freedom doesn't come from grasping tightly, but from learning to release with awareness. The practice of letting go, what we can also call sacrifice, isn't about loss. It's about liberation. It's about trusting that what you surrender is making room for something far more meaningful. When we stop clinging, we open ourselves up to receive with a lighter heart and a deeper trust in life. These 7 yogic practices, concentration, tritak, or still gazing, deep listening, resolve, sankalp, silence, solitude, and sacrifice, aren't just abstract concepts or ancient traditions locked away in some distant past. They're powerful, practical tools for living a more grounded, peaceful, and fulfilling life today. Each practice flows into the next, forming a journey from the noisy surface of our minds to the quiet strength of our inner world. The path begins with focus and ends in freedom. And you don't have to change your life dramatically to start. You only need the willingness to try. A small effort each day can lead to a big shift in how you feel, think, and live. There's no special time or place you need to begin. These practices can happen anywhere, on a quiet walk, in the middle of a busy day, or during a few still minutes before bed. You could choose to stay silent for 5 minutes, set an intention for your morning, or simply breathe with presence while doing the dishes. The point is, spirituality doesn't ask us to escape life. It invites us to live more consciously within it. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and soon it becomes a way of life, where your actions feel aligned, your heart feels lighter, and your mind feels clear. As you walk this path, you'll begin to notice a shift inside you. You'll become more observant and less reactive. Your words will carry more authenticity, and your decisions will have more intention behind them. Compassion will show up naturally, even in the most difficult moments. And the sense of missing something that many of us feel, no matter how much we achieve, will start to dissolve. That's because true joy was never out there. It was always waiting within. When we follow these yogic practices, we begin to move from chaos to calm, from the surface of life to its depth. We stop feeling scattered and start feeling whole. These practices help us reconnect with our true selves, the version of us that isn't defined by ego, fear, or performance, but by peace, purpose, and presence. Let's take a deeper look at each of these 7 practices and what they really mean in our modern lives. Concentration is where it all begins. In a world overflowing with distractions, our attention is constantly being pulled in 1,000 directions. We're answering emails while thinking about dinner or talking to someone while scrolling through a screen. But concentration brings our energy back to one point, whether it's during meditation or a simple task like drinking tea. The ability to focus fully helps us reconnect with the present. When you're present, even the smallest moment can feel deeply meaningful. That's the power of concentration. It roots us in now. Tratak, or still gazing, builds on that focus. It involves gently fixing your gaze on an object, like a candle flame or a peaceful image, without blinking. At first, it may seem like just a visual exercise, but it actually calms the nervous system, quiets the mind, and sharpens inner clarity. When your outer vision becomes still, your inner chaos begins to settle too. Tratak reminds us that stillness isn't empty, it's full of awareness. And with practice, this kind of focused presence begins to influence the way we see our entire lives. Next comes deep listening, also known as Shravan. We live in a time where everyone's talking, but very few are truly listening. Real listening means hearing without preparing a reply, without judging and without rushing. Whether you're listening to a teacher, a loved one, or even yourself, when you give your full attention, it transforms the interaction. Deep listening is healing. It builds trust, reduces conflict, and connects you to the wisdom that's often hidden in simple words. Resolve, or sankalp, is about making a heartfelt decision and sticking to it. It's that quiet but powerful yes you give to yourself. It could be something small, like waking up early to meditate, or something big, like choosing to live with more honesty. Whatever it is, when you make a conscious resolve and follow through, it strengthens your willpower and deepens your self-trust. Over time, those little promises to yourself begin to shape the way you show up in the world. You stop waiting for motivation and start moving from intention. Silence or mourn is often underestimated. We associate it with emptiness, but silence is actually a doorway to clarity. When we stop speaking, and more importantly, when we stop feeding the constant chatter in our minds, we begin to hear something far more meaningful, our inner truth. Even just a few minutes of intentional silence each day can help reset your nervous system, reduce anxiety, and sharpen your emotional intelligence. Silence is where we begin to feel instead of analyze, observe instead of judge, and breathe instead of react. Solitude, or ekant, is another powerful yet often feared practice. Many of us equate being alone with being lonely, but solitude is a space of richness, not lack. When we step away from the noise of others' opinions, social media, and constant activity, we make space for self-inquiry. In solitude, we meet ourselves, not the version we show the world, but the one that lives underneath all our masks. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but the rewards are profound. Clarity, creativity, and emotional strength often emerge from time spent alone. And finally, there's sacrifice, or the practice of letting go. This doesn't mean giving up what you love. It means not being owned by it. Letting go of attachments doesn't lead to emptiness. It leads to expansion. You're no longer limited by fear or craving.
You start doing things from a place of love, not need. You love fully, but without clinging. You participate in life, but with freedom. Sacrifice allows you to live with an open heart and a quiet mind. If you think of these 7 steps as a staircase, it starts with focus and ends in freedom. Concentration leads to stillness. Stillness leads to awareness. Awareness leads to commitment. Commitment leads to inner quiet. Inner quiet opens the space for deep reflection. And in that reflection, we find the courage to let go. And that's where transformation happens. These aren't religious rituals or mystical concepts. They are practical ways of living that you can gently weave into your daily life. You could start your day with a few moments of focus. You could end it with silence. You could make one small inner promise to yourself each week. These small practices have big ripple effects. They change how you respond to stress, how you treat others, and most importantly, how you treat yourself. Living this way helps you return to your center again and again, no matter how chaotic the outside world becomes. And the more you return, the more grounded you feel. The more grounded you feel, the more peace you bring to every part of your life. That's the essence of yoga, not just bending the body, but aligning the soul. Not escaping the world, but learning how to live in it with wisdom, presence, and grace. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. And friends, that brings us to the end of today's journey. I hope this reflection gave you something meaningful to take with you. If it touched your heart or inspired your mind, please share your thoughts in the comments. And thank you so much for being here and listening all the way through.